هست که ما روبرو هستیم، ولی با آمدن طالبا ما منتظر بودیم صدایی از جای بلند شود، چون نمیخواستیم زندگی یک مادرای ما در زمان سال 1996 بود تکرار شود بالای ما. او زمان هم از کاملا زنان از جامعه حذف شده بودن، حق کار، حق تحصیل، حق مشارکت سیاسی برشان داده نشده بود، همه حقوقشان در زمان هم از اینا گرفته شده بود. خب نمیخواستیم به گذشته بر بگردیم، به 2001 بر بگردیم، ما حذف شویم. ما حذف شدنی نیستیم، فعلا قوت داریم، مبارزه میکنیم، به هم نسلان ما و به نسلان بعدی ما راه را باز میکنیم. خب شایعه است، از اول هم میگفتن که گویا طالب تغییر کرده. به دید ما طالب تغییر نکرده. بیرق طالب همو بیرق است، طالب نامش همو طالب است. رفتار طالب کلن خشنتر و قویتر شده، چون این بار آمدن سیستماتیک همه را از بین میبرن، حذف میکنن.
The Taliban did not really have a plan to govern, and they don't really have the knowledge or the experience of governing a country, especially without any funding. You know, the funds have been frozen, and there's no aid coming in.
Love you. Have a good day. Behave yourself.
Like, she goes to work at 3 in the afternoon and sometimes gets off at midnight. She works a lot. A whole lot. We don't get to eat in the early morning. We just wait till we get to the school. So, yeah.
Right now, here in America, millions of kids like Victoria and Andre live with hunger, and the need to help them has never been greater. But when you join your friends and neighbors to support No Kid Hungry, you'll help hungry kids get the food they need.
If we want to take care of our children, then we have to feed them.
Your gift of just 63 cents a day, only $19 a month at helpnokidhungry.org right now, will help provide healthy meals and hope.
We want our children to grow and thrive and to just not have to worry and face themselves with the struggles that we endure. Nobody wants that for their children.
Like, if these programs didn't exist, me and AJ, we wouldn't probably get lunch at all.
Please call or go online right now with your gift of just $19 a month. And when you use your credit card, you'll receive this limited edition t-shirt to show you're part of the team that's helping feed kids and change lives.
If you're coming in hungry, there's no way you can listen to me teach, do this activity, work with this group. So starting their day with breakfast and ending their day with this big, beautiful snack is pretty incredible.
Whether kids are learning at school or at home, your support will ensure they get the healthy meals they need to thrive. Because when you help feed kids, you feed their hopes, dreams, and futures. Kids in your community and across America need you now more than ever. Call or go online to helpnokidhungry.org right away and help feed hungry kids today.
How about a spark of inspiration? Oops. Let's get this thing rolling. Ta-da! Try that on for size. Yeah. Level up in Forge of Empires. Play now for free at FOE.tv or download the app.
Your cat deserves the perfect litter box, and so do you. Kitty Poo Club reinvented the litter box. Totally convenient, odor-free, delivered to you with free shipping. Kitty Poo Club is perfection. Go to kittypooclub.com now to get started.
What are my stats? Well, my investments are tracking up, my house will be paid off in 12 years, and I'll retire at 61. Take control of your finances with Quicken. Try risk-free for 30 days.
This is a unique humanitarian crisis. There are few countries in the world that have suffered a humanitarian and economic collapse this quickly and in such depth. Well over 90% of Afghans are now suffering some form of food insecurity. This is a situation where food is technically available, but there isn't enough liquidity in the economy and enough availability of paper currency to purchase food. food which is available. So, for instance, UNICEF or Doctors Without Borders, they may transfer in $15 million, $20 million to pay for supplies and wages, but that money is only electronic. The bank in Kabul that gets that transfer, it doesn't have enough paper in its vaults to allow for the withdrawals to pay for salaries and pay for food and fuel and things like that. So that's what we mean when we say there's a banking crisis and a liquidity crisis driving the famine. Afghanistan is unique in that a huge amount of its GDP was through government work and being paid from outside assistance. Before the Taliban took over, it was already the case that some segments of government employees were receiving their salaries not from the government but from UN agencies who had stepped in to sort of assume the role that normally government sectors would take. And now what needs to happen is the United Nations needs to figure out a way to allow payments to resume to government employees. The money needs to keep going, not just to help the economy, but to make sure that those sectors don't collapse. We can't let the Taliban off the hook here. They are very much to blame for this situation. Yes, the United States and the UN Security Council are imposing these sanctions and restrictions that are causing these economic impacts. But the reason you're not seeing progress on that is precisely because, A, the Taliban refused to negotiate a political solution that would have allowed a more inclusive government, and B, because they're carrying out human rights abuses almost every day. These economic problems disproportionately impact women and girls. Women and girls, for societal reasons, are often put last in line to receive necessary food and health care. They face larger obstacles in seeking and obtaining humanitarian assistance and health care. The restrictions on women's education and employment also exact a toll. The bottom line is women and girls are suffering the worst from this economic crisis and from the Taliban's reluctance to engage on the issues of employment and education.
اولا نمیخواستیم چون بسیار زمینه ها بود نمیتونیم ما همه خانم ها را با همین صدایشان خاموش و حذف شو و راهایشون کرده و بریم اما فعلا تهدیدها که بسیار متوجه ما هست بسیار زیاد خوب مهم است که ما هم جان ما باید حفظ شود فعلا داریم فکر میکنیم که اگر از این زیادتر افغانستان بمانیم شاید ما به مرگ ما ختم شود ولی ما باید زنده بمانیم
I can't see any future in Afghanistan anymore. As long as the Taliban have the government. People should run the government who are educated, who should know about diplomacy, who should know about the security, who should know about how to save his country. A few thousand of the people with the AK-47s, with a few Ranger vehicles, they cannot secure my country. A solid government need a doctor, an engineer. Because of the economy, everyone is running away. They have to allow women to go to the school. They have to allow women to become a doctor, engineer, nurse, pilot. The Talis are not Afghans. If they are Afghan, they are not going to destroy their own motherland. If they are Afghan, they are not going to kill their own brothers. Don't do this to your brothers and your own sisters. Please, don't kill me.
It's time to see the bigger picture, widen the lens, narrow the divide.
That support is shifting, and it's shifting toward concern for climate. It's about the whole community stepping up to help.
Not everything is left or right, good or bad.
The human capacity for change is so inspiring.
It's time to look closer at the whole story.
A hurricane don't care what your color is or how much money you make. It affects us all.
It's time to ask, why?
The whole goal is to point people to something bigger.
Introducing a new point of view. Yours. Newsy. Watch free 24/7.
Good afternoon. I'm Rob Nelson in Atlanta. This is Newsy Reports. We begin today with breaking news out of Washington. Sanctions against Russia are now on the way. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki just announced minutes ago that we can expect President Biden to sign an executive order approving those sanctions this afternoon. This is all in response to Russian President Vladimir Putin recognizing the independence of two breakaway territories in eastern Ukraine earlier today. That acknowledgement was expected and is now expected to ratchet up tension between Russia and the West and continuing worries over a Russian invasion of Ukraine. During an address to the Russian people earlier today, Putin essentially laid claim to all of Ukraine as part of Russia. He now wants Russian lawmakers to approve treaties with the separatist leaders of those breakaway territories, a move that would and could allow Russia to provide military backing. Meantime, Russian-backed rebels have ruled parts of those separatist regions, the Donetsk and Luhansk areas, since 2014. On top of that, they also claim territory that is still under the control of the Ukrainian government. Again, all of this seemingly setting the stage for a major conflict at some point. As we all well know by now, also in 2014, Russia did previously annex Crimea in the southern part of Ukraine. Quickly moving story and a lot of big headlines today. We do have live team coverage of all these developments from Moscow, Ukraine, and from Washington. Let's get right to our political director, Andrew Rafferty. He is live for us at the White House with the latest. So, Andrew, so much to get to, because it's been a dizzying couple of days with headlines on this front. So, first, let's start with those sanctions. What did Jen Psaki say exactly? What do we expect Biden to do today, and how soon could they take effect?
Yeah, well, Rob, this announcement coming swiftly after that news from Russia that Vladimir Putin would be recognizing the independence of those certain parts of Ukraine. And so here's what Jen Psaki, the White House press secretary, announced in that statement, saying that no new investment to those regions will be recognized in those regions that Putin has recognized as independent. And the most important thing, I think, is also in that statement said, along with the stoppage of new investment in those areas, that additional measures would be forthcoming. And so we don't know the exact details. I think we're going to hear more from both the State Department and Treasury Department in the coming perhaps hours or days, just what this could look like. But also of note, in that statement from the White House, Rob, is that this is in addition to the promise of those severe sanctions if Russia further invades Ukraine, if there's any further incursions on the border. So the White House making it very clear that this is just the start, but certainly not the end of those punitive economic measures aimed at Russia for this announcement just a few hours ago, Rob.
Okay, so this basically would be, or is going to be, a baby step toward perhaps the harsher sanctions that this White House has been saying are in the cards for weeks if Russia goes ahead and invades. Let me ask you on this front, too. There was some